The Red Army deployed a wide range of armored vehicles during World War II, from early light tanks and high-speed BT models to the famous T-34s and even secret experimental designs tested on the battlefield. In this video, we'll go through every major Soviet armored vehicle that saw action in the war. Let's start with the light tanks. T-26. The T-26 formed the backbone of the Red Army's armored forces in 1941, based on the British Vickers 6-ton. It was already outdated when the war began. Its thin armor and low speed made it an easy target for German units, yet it fought from the first day of the war through the defense of Leningrad and the Caucasus. Despite catastrophic early losses, its sheer numbers meant the T-26 shaped the opening months of the conflict. BT-2, BT-5, and BT-7, the fast tanks, were among the most unique vehicles of the 1930s. Their Christie suspension allowed them to run on wheels or tracks, reaching speeds up to 70 kilometers per hour. Though lightly armored, their mobility made them ideal for deep raids and breakthrough operations. BTs were heavily used in 1941 to 42 and continued fighting until they were phased out in favor of the T-34. T-40, often forgotten, the T-40 was an amphibious reconnaissance tank. Though lightly armed with a 12.7mm DSHK machine gun, it was important for scouting and river crossing operations early in the war. Production was halted to prioritize the more combat-capable T-60. T-60, a two-man light tank, rushed into production during the crisis of 1941. It was cheap, simple, and built by factories that normally made tractors and cars. Though underpowered, it filled a crucial gap until more advanced designs became available. T-70, a more robust evolution of the T-60. The T-70 featured better armor and a 45mm gun. While not suitable for tank-on-tank combat against late-war German armor, it served effectively in reconnaissance, infantry support, and urban fighting. Its chassis later became the foundation of the Su-76. Medium tanks. T-28, a multi-turreted medium tank from the 1930s. Though outdated by 1941, it still fought in the defense of Leningrad. Some units performed remarkably well. One T-28 even broke through German lines, destroying multiple positions before being lost. T-34-76. The T-34 was arguably the most important tank of World War II. With sloped armor, a powerful 76mm gun, a diesel engine, and excellent mobility, it shocked German commanders in 1941. The tank's simple construction allowed mass production even under evacuation conditions, turning it into the most produced medium tank of the war. T-34-85, a major upgrade featuring a new three-man turret and an 85mm gun capable of engaging Panthers and Tigers. The T-34-85 became the primary Soviet medium tank from 1944 onward, and spearheaded the advance into Eastern Europe and Berlin. T-34 flamethrower variant, OT-34. These specialized tanks replaced the Hull machine gun with a flamethrower. They were used in urban combat and bunker clearing operations, especially during the battles of Kursk, Königsberg, and Berlin. Heavy tanks. KV-1. The KV-1 was nearly invulnerable to most German anti-tank guns in 1941. Its thick armor allowed it to hold off entire German units. However, it suffered from mechanical problems, slow speed, and high maintenance demands. KV-2. A KV-1 chassis mounting a massive 152mm howitzer inside a towering turret. Designed to destroy fortifications, it became infamous for its size and vulnerability to breakdowns. Still, when functioning, it could obliterate anything in its path. KV-1S. A lighter, more mobile version of the KV-1. Armor was reduced to improve reliability and maneuverability, an adaptation based on frontline experience. KV-85, a transitional heavy tank armed with an 85mm gun. It served as the bridge between the KV series and the IS series, and was used in limited numbers. IS-1 and IS-2. The Iosif Stalin tanks were the pinnacle of Soviet heavy armor. The IS-2, equipped with a powerful 122mm D-25T gun, could destroy Tigers and Panthers with a single shot. These tanks smashed through German defenses, stormed fortified cities, and became symbols of Soviet victory. IS-3. Arriving just as the war ended, the IS-3 featured a new pike nose design that influenced tank armor concepts for decades. Though it saw little to no World War II combat, it belongs to the wartime development lineage. Tank destroyers and self-propelled guns. Su-76. Built on the T-70 chassis, the Su-76 was simple, light, and highly mobile. Its open-top design exposed the crew, but provided excellent visibility. It excelled in infantry support roles and was one of the most widely produced Soviet armored vehicles. Su-122. Based on the T-34 chassis, the Su-122 carried a 122mm howitzer for destroying bunkers and strongpoints. It was especially effective in urban offensives. Su-85 developed to counter German Panthers. The Su-85 mounted an 85mm anti-tank gun. Its low silhouette and mobility made it an effective tank destroyer. Su-100, one of the finest Soviet tank destroyers of the war. Its 100mm gun could penetrate most German tanks at long range, and it remained in service long after the war. Su-152, nicknamed Zavaraboy or Beast Killer, the Su-152 used a massive 152mm howitzer capable of destroying Tigers and Panthers with the concussive force of its shells. ISU-122, a heavy SPG combining the IS chassis with a long-barreled 122mm gun optimized for long-range tank engagements. ISU-152. Another evolution of the IS chassis, this vehicle was devastating against both armor and fortifications. It became one of the key weapons during the battles for Budapest and Berlin. Experimental and rare vehicles. Su-100Y rare prototype. Built to defend Moscow during the winter of 1941, this enormous vehicle mounted a 130mm naval gun. Only one prototype existed, but it saw combat during the defense of the capital. T-34-100, a prototype upgrade to the T-34 featuring a 100mm gun. It proved effective in trials, but was never adopted due to the upcoming T-44 and IS-2 tanks. KV-13, a hybrid medium-heavy tank intended to replace both KV and T-34 series. Though the concept was abandoned, it directly influenced the IS series. T-44 developed late in the war. The T-44 featured a torsion bar suspension, reduced profile, and improved turret design. It barely saw combat, but became the basis for the post-war T-54/55 family. SMK, large, multi-turreted heavy prototypes tested during the Winter War. Their poor mobility and excessive weight led to the adoption of the simpler KV-1. Lend-Lease vehicles. M3 Stuart, fast and reliable. The Stuart was mainly used for reconnaissance. Soviet crews appreciated its mechanical dependability. Studebaker US-6, one of the most iconic Lend-Lease vehicles. Reliable, powerful, and easy to maintain, the Studebaker became the main platform for Katyusha rocket launchers and served as a universal transport truck across the Eastern Front. Soviet crews praised its durability, good off-road performance, and excellent cold weather reliability. It became one of the most influential foreign vehicles in the Red Army. M3 Lee. Although tall and awkward, the M3 provided valuable firepower in 1942 when Soviet tank losses were critical. M4A2 Sherman. The Soviets received thousands of diesel-powered Shermans. Crews liked its reliability, radios, optics, and comfortable interior. The 76mm armed variants were particularly respected. Valentine, a British infantry tank with thick armor and excellent reliability. Despite its weak gun, the Valentine became highly valued among Soviet tankers. Matilda II, another British infantry tank. Extremely well armored early in the war, but slow and gradually outdated. Still, it played important roles on the northern and Arctic fronts. Churchill Mark IV, heavy British tanks with thick armor and good climbing ability, used primarily in harsh northern terrain, where their low speed was less of a disadvantage. Armored cars and recon vehicles. BA-10, a pre-war armored car with a 45mm gun. Strong firepower for its weight, but limited off-road performance. BA-20, a light reconnaissance armored car used in 1941 to 42. It was soon replaced by more capable designs. BA-64, simple, mobile, and easy to produce, widely used for reconnaissance, radio communications, and escort duties. GAZ-67, a versatile 4x4 vehicle similar to the American Jeep, used for reconnaissance, towing light weapons, and transporting officers and machine gun teams. Transport and specialized vehicles. GAZ-AA truck, the workhorses of Soviet logistics. They transported ammunition, fuel, troops, and supplies across the vast Eastern Front. Without these trucks, Soviet armored offensives would have stalled. Katyusha rocket launchers. Mounted on trucks, tanks, or tractors, these rocket artillery systems delivered devastating salvos with enormous psychological impact on German troops. Artillery tractors crucial for towing heavy guns across mud, snow, and frozen terrain. Some were armored for frontline use. Armored engineering vehicles. Though rarely highlighted, these machines played key roles in breaching defenses and crossing rivers during major offensives. Anti-aircraft vehicles. ZSU-37, a self-propelled anti-aircraft gun based on the T-70 chassis. Armed with a 37mm cannon, it provided mobile air defense for tank units. Produced in small numbers and saw limited late-war use. ZSU, truck-mounted anti-aircraft platforms armed with DSHK, or Maxim machine guns. Cheap, simple, and widely used to protect columns, supply lines, and artillery positions from low-flying aircraft. Captured German vehicles. Panzer III, the most commonly reused German tank. Dozens were repaired in frontline workshops during 1942 to 43 and issued to Soviet crews when losses were high. Simple mechanics made it the easiest German tank for the Red Army to operate. Stu-G3. Captured assault guns were valued for their low silhouette and effective 75mm gun. The Red Army used several Stu-Gs in frontline roles, especially after major offensives that left large numbers abandoned. Panther I. A few Panthers were captured in working order and briefly used in combat. Their complex transmission and lack of spare parts made them unreliable for long-term service. Tiger I. Several Tigers were captured intact and tested by Soviet engineers. Some saw limited combat use, but their weight and maintenance demands prevented large-scale adoption.